tonight on the Big Old Belt Wrestling Podcast. Well, you know what time it is. It is the year and that moment where the lists and the awards and all that other good stuff, depending on what you're covering, what you're interested in. It is all that along with Jamal's favorite season, Christmas. Let's get the carols going. Nonetheless, no, we got the PWI Women's 250 to talk about tonight, and coming just off of AEW with their blood and guts, bloody massacre of a show. And John Cena, he did it. But I think one of us did predict that. All that and more in tonight's episode of the Big Old Belt Wrestling Podcast. Let's get into it, folks.
Big Old Belt, Big Old Belt, Big Old Belt, Big Old Belt, Big Old Belt. All I really want is that Big Old Belt, 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 Big Old Belt. All I really need, that Big Old Belt.
Happy holidays and Merry Christmas to all the lovely folks out there that is celebrating right now with their Christmas trees up. Damn you. It's the Big Old Belt Wrestling Podcast here tonight to give you an hour of the latest, hottest, and talked about topics this week in pro wrestling. Yeah, I know who it is. Nigeria here leading the show. It's been a little while since I've been in this seat in Will's absence, but I got my two guys with me tonight. So we're here to talk all things Graps. Damian, Jamal, gentlemen, how you doing tonight? Thanks for being here.
Back. Good to be back.
Merry Christmas. Did you get back to work today?
Well, you know what? Somebody finally put pen to paper, and I think all things resume. But nonetheless,
so happy take your asses back to work day. Let me get it out of the way right now. So for what it's worth.
And nonetheless, Damian, you did a little trip back home, back to the good
to New York.
Yeah. I'm sure it was a lovely time to be back. Did the Texas rub off on you? Was it noticeable to your folks?
No. The minute I got off the plane, it's like I never left. You know, the attitude comes back, the language comes back, the tone comes back, and I don't trust anybody. So it's like I never left.
Yeah. Let me tell you why we know he's lying, because he definitely got off the plane at LaGuardia with a 10-gallon hat on.
I did.
How y'all doing? Amigos. Where are we going today?
I'm about to go to Manhattan.
Yeah, we gotta take the N train. There's an N? I thought we weren't allowed to say that train anymore. Now, good to see you, Damien.
Good to see you.
Anybody watching or listening to us tonight, be a part of the conversation. Join us in the chat or hit the comments after this video air, which you can find this on all of our social media platforms, or just go to bigoldbelt.com and you'll get there. But new episodes weekly, each and every Thursday, 8 p.m. Now, as I mentioned, because it is that season for a bunch of us who wear multiple hats here on that with the podcast, but yet with the outlet, it's award season, so it's a lot of watching and observing and rating and critiquing. But ultimately, in the world of pro wrestling, it is that season of list. And finally, the women's PWI 250 has dropped, where I think we're going to focus a little bit more on just the top 10. But before we even get into it, I do have a question, because I thought, and I could just be a little bit out of the loop, but I thought they were conversations about expanding this to 500. Unless it's just me that's just been under a rock or whatnot here. I think there's enough active.
No question.
Absolutely.
Yeah, across the board, right? Because Indies is thriving. And I know there have been a lot of talks here on the conversation about how there's just so much, maybe too much wrestling going on. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, the star power sees no gender. There are people, male, female, or non-binary. Everybody is thriving. I think there's definitely enough to be able to hash out a whole 500 here. So that's the first thing that caught my eye. I was like, yeah, it's still 250. And I'm sure there's people that want that recognition, but also, want a measure or a metric in order to be able to say, I want to work harder next year. which is why, you know, the 500 caused so much stir, because you see people that's like, oh, I should have been higher, should have been lower. You see people that's like, I'm just going to grind my ass off, throw this on my resume for 2025. I was this number. Next year, I'm going to be better than this number. So I'll just say, like, off break, that was the first thing that caught my eye. Y'all got any reaction to that?
Well, okay. Well, first of all, my reaction to any list, especially with the PWI list, is we need better lists. Like PWI takes into consideration kayfabe, which of course is silly considering that it's a list that you're legitimizing. You know, not all kayfabe is the same. Is kayfabe even real anymore? You know, and if you look at the list from 250 on up, you kind of go, wait a minute. You mean to tell me that during the voting period, this person had a better year than this person? You know, that's what makes the list complex as well. Secondly, 250, 500, 1,000. I would like to see it a different list. If there were to be a different list, it should be done regionally. Who's the best wrestler in Japan? Who's the best wrestler in Singapore? In Saudi Arabia, in the UAE, in Chile, and in Bolivia? You know, who's putting these people on? In South Africa, you know, in Uganda. You know, wrestling is shout South Brown. Wrestling is worldwide, and you know who's doing the work where.
Let me ask you why. Why do you feel like regional is better than just doing a multiple list globally?
Because the names out of context have less meaning. The fact that you made your regional list, and even if that regional list was the top 20 in each region, maybe the North American list would be a little bit higher because you're working for this North American company. But if the top 20 based on the company that you work with the most in that locale, even if it's a bunch of Mexicans, then you may appear twice. If you spend 6 months in CMLL and you spend 6 months in on the indies in the US, you may make both lists. But the point is that now that you're number 50 in Mexico and number 6 in the US, that gives her name more weight. Or if your name is this high in Japan with other people that work in Japan, and again, since you can cross-pollinate, well, hell, the Australians definitely have a scene. Who's running down there? I personally don't know, because their matches will come on at 3 a.m. for us locally, but there's obviously a lot of Japanese names on this list. So it can't just be somebody with a Triller account or something like that going, okay, well, this is the best we're going to do with the funds that we have, with the resources that we have. When wrestling is certainly more global than the list purports. Hell, I'm not even seeing a lot of European indie stars on here from Germany, and they obviously have a scene. If WWE goes and just sells out, or WWE goes and makes a big deal of it, there's definitely a German scene and a British scene and a French scene and an Italian scene. Who's running it? You know, who's the top 10 in these areas, in these regions? And if they make a list of the PWI that elevates, for example, PWI, because they're putting in the work to collate this list worldwide, and then, of course, elevates the talent that they put on there, that, oh, my God, this big magazine in America, it has eyes in Switzerland. So, yeah, I think it's good for everybody. Now, again, it takes a lot of work to collate this list anyway, and there's a lot of names that I don't know. There's some names that I do know, so good on them for doing that work. But I just feel that it barely scratches the surface when it comes to the wrestling world. And when we speak of wrestling, the wrestling world, on a list of 500 names for men or 250 names for women, and the realization is that barely scratches the surface in that. And I want to go a little bit beyond the surface.
Damien?
So it's about time we got 500 for the women as well. It's natural expansion. When we talk about things like the NCAA tournament going from 64 teams to 68, now they want to put all Division I teams on. Sometimes it seems it's just natural progression. Now, I'd gather that there's probably more than 500 women's wrestlers you could put on this list, given, like Jamal said, throughout the worldwide coverage. But one of the things that caught my attention was what Crab was saying. Just like in music, you can be number 1 in Australia and number 10 in America, and it both be true. So why don't we have it geographically as well as just a general list as well. Because in that case, let's say you're nominated at 5th in Australia, but you're 75th in America. Well, that's going to make someone want to go check out their matches potentially. Say, hey, let's go check out the Australian scene, like Crab said. Or in my case, when I was introduced to Tokyo Joshi Pro Live, I started to watch it because I didn't know much about it except for when Crab talked about it. So when I see these names or certain names I don't recognize, it's going to make me want to go check it out. But to say that there's, and I'm not saying that people are saying this, but there's more than 250 worthwhile women's wrestlers to be able to go check out and just look through their stuff. If we have enough time, we as in wrestling populace, to watch almost every wrestling show every single day throughout the course of a calendar year, y'all can't sneak in an extra 10 minutes to go watch some extra women's matches that you may not know of. Just due diligence, like reporting. You want to do your due diligence. You want to get as much information as humanly possible, even in the smallest promotions. Because I can tell you right now, AAA, for those who didn't watch before the merger, now that we've had the merger, now that there's other women's wrestlers and obviously male wrestlers, but more women's wrestlers now on that radar, because now American audiences get to experience AAA. So I think it's time to expand.
Yeah, I will say, and I know this may come as a small little bit of a unpopular opinion, but this is why I like Righteous Ridge BW 500, because why I did catch a bunch of heat beginning because people were very much looking at it as a ranking thing. Reg went out there on the limb and said, hey, I'm going to tell you 500 black wrestlers to watch
and
to look out for. And Cody Rhodes. But like at the end of the day, how it was a win-win is because one, more exposure for black wrestlers. Two, the same thing that I think with how empowered the PWI list is in terms of people saying like, hey, I would like to, they got something to sort of quantify going forward. Like I was number 10. I need to be number 1 next year. But the BW also people look at it as like, hey, I was number whatever. I want to work harder to be higher on that list next year. Although it's been very clear that the list isn't much of a ranking, but more of an exposure of 500 people you need to watch. And I think if the power of these lists started to fizzle out a little more and it became less of a talking point amongst the masses in terms of who should be what, and more of a celebration of here are, 500 male, female binary folks. I think to Jamal's point, if nobody's going to do the hard work of regionalizing it or, making a standard across the board so it's a little bit more fair in terms of actually providing the ranking, then I think this is the way to go. And yes, if you still want to be able to have some type of legitimacy in the numbers, I would say do a top 20 across the world. And then after 20, everybody else is a big group of people you just need to watch. That way, that's it. And then you have a goal of saying, I was high in sort of the pool of folks, but I need to break that top 20. I need to be on there. And I think the top 20 is easy because you look at it in the sense of the way how they really go about things. Wins and losses, which is still super questionable because you can have a hell of a year
it's
losing
wrestling.
a lot. Right. You can have a hell of a year losing a lot. Or you could be the best heel in the world and somehow get disqualified a whole bunch. Yet technically a win, but technically a loss, whatever it may be. So like, I don't see how that becomes like something you need to be like rated on. But then championships and tournament, that's the one that makes it interesting because if every major promotion had one champion, 2 champions in respective divisions, and then an undercard champion, it's like 3, and then everybody technically the title flipped hand at least once a year. That's like 6 people coming out of every promotion. You're quickly populating that top 20 right there. The quality of competition, I mean, that's also subjective because one moment you can be like, who's Mr. Iguana? The next minute, like, he's the hottest wrestler in the world. Same thing with Joe Hendry. You be like, oh, that's just some gimmick that don't work. Becomes one of the hottest wrestler of the year, and on and on. Then major feuds. I think, yes, that's something that catches the attention from all over. Like major feuds, big enough feuds will make you a non-wrestler tune in to say, I need to see who's going to win that because there's storytelling. So I do agree with that. And the prominence within the wrestler's promotion, that's where Jamal points comes into play. Subjective, because the biggest promotion in Japan isn't maybe possibly the biggest promotion in the world, but that doesn't discredit the legitimacy of it being a big promotion in that region of the world. And then overall wrestling ability and technical skills, that's just subjective because at the end of the day, John Cena doesn't get hurt. He has 5 moves, but he make other people look good. Joe Hendry, same person. You know what I mean? Obafemi really doesn't even get too deep into his bag at times, but he makes good wrestling. And I think whether you want somebody that's super technical to the likes of Bret Hart, or you want somebody that's flippy floppy, or the likes of somebody like Leo Rush who can kind of do it all, or you got somebody that goes out there, they work a safe little gimmick program that gets people over, the Mizes of the world, the Cenas of the world, the Ortons at this rate of the world. Are they bad wrestlers? No, they're doing what they got to do. So again, that's why I think like taking a little bit of power and stakes out of the list and trying to fully legitimize it and actually really think about what's the best interest for the folks in terms of promoting them going forward. That being said, let's talk about the top 10. We all got the list in front of us, so I'm not even going to go down it. But I throw to you, Damien, the top 10, is there anybody that just jumps out to you and why? Whether you think they're too low, too high, you're happy for them, you're disappointed in them, or hell, you don't see somebody that should be in that top 10, you want to make a lobby for them, although it's way too late.
I will say to my earlier point about being introduced to new superstars. Number 3, Seiya Kamitani. Before this conversation about the list, didn't know who that was. Been looking it up while we've been talking, and I need to see more. I need to see more. So this is why lists like this, at least for me, matter, because it can get eyes on people you may not have seen prior. Now, if we're talking about strictly subjective who should be or shouldn't be top 10, the list looks fine. I might have moved Tiffany Stratton down a little bit. Just not my thing. Y'all know that. She's never been my favorite wrestler. Athena at 7. Good for her. I would have moved her maybe ahead of Tiffany Stratton, in my opinion, but that's just me. But everything else with the top 10, it stands to reason. And also, shout out to Naomi for cracking the top 10 and being number 9.
Okay, so let me just say, top 10. I think the biggest thing about lists in wrestling, because unlike real sports, unlike the non-gambling sports, there's nothing to base it on. Like, these lists are really based on feeling. Yeah. Because if you have a good match, that's because you had a good dance partner. If you had a good and also that's the thing too. There are 3 elements to it. It's you, your partner, and the crowd.
And time.
Time, sure, but yeah, that may be the 4th element, the 4th dimension, actually. But the long and short of it is that those 3 elements have to work, because we've seen good matches with terrible crowds that take some people out of it. We've seen bad matches that are hideously hyped for no reason that take people out of it. And then, of course, everything is literally subjective, because I can't say that this deathmatch wrestler doing deathmatch things is not as technically proficient as somebody that is a submission specialist. They're both specialists in their top in their craft. It's just that their crafts are radically different. With that said about the top 10,
that means you love Mox, right?
Yeah, you really need to go back to work. Like,
oh no,
absolutely. Yeah, you got cabin fever, brother. I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna call a fucking welder to check on you, saying some bullshit like that. But that silliness aside, fun show. But it was going to be Mercedes and Toni Storm. They had a hell of a year. Toni Storm is arguably involved in one of the best woman storylines in the past few years, maybe decade, realistically. But then what does that say about her dance partner? Which is so ironic, because I kept seeing popping up on the timeline is their Toni Storm's last promo. People are like you. I'm not trying to kill you. I want you to live in your own mediocrity on NXT. And damn if that didn't sound prophetic. So where is Blake Monroe on this list? She's at 20. But that is so far outside of the top 10. And that'll be interesting to see where she is next year without Toni Storm. How far will she...
There's no. I know we're talking about the women, but keep her and Ricky Stark in sight right now for next year.
Yeah, mark that. So, but as far as where that goes, Statlander at 16 is something that I would have never thought was possible. But damned if she didn't have a hell of a year. Marina Shafir may be the most improved worker on television.
Hold on, before you get too deep into things here. The top 10. I know you spoke of it, but I want to again. I know you put emphasis on number 1 and number 2,
right?
And you spent a lot on Toni being 2 and having one of the most monumental. You think it's a coin? That's what I want to ask you.
Yeah,
do you think it's why? Why do you think Monet edges out Toni for Toni to basically run?
Well, if you're asking me now, I would say the same thing for the other person tomorrow. Because Toni, again, was involved in a generational feud. Monet, even over Kenny Omega, who did the exact same thing, is involved in a generational run. Like whether you like it or not, people are talking about the belt collector. The presentation on AEW has been the best thing that she's ever done in the company. And I would argue, since leaving WWE, because you forget that she was in Japan for a minute until she got injured. So Monet is running at all cylinders, being the belt collector, and it's so much so that people, in spite of the fact that she has 12 belts or whatever the hell it is now, is displayed and prominently displayed like a peacock in front of everybody. People go, but those are just indie companies. It doesn't matter. She's not really doing anything for them. She's not, we don't even know where they came from. Where did they come from? Defy? What's Defy?
What voice is this?
Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. But if you've been on the Lower East Side, you know who it is. Don't worry about it.
I have questions. I definitely have questions about that. But
I'm saying, but the fact is that she's created her own heat by not doing a damn thing. And that's how you know it's working.
Maybe.
And of course, her fans are her fans and whatever. But the point is that she's able to take this thing, the rocket ship, as it's described. Well, she built it herself.
Yeah.
And that's something to be commended. And Toni Storm, even after the fact, and you could argue that, damn, they tried to get her out of the gimmick. It didn't work. Is she kind of stuck with this vaudeville era thing? When is she going to move into the 20s, into talkies, and then progress in film history? Is she going to do any of that? Will she go through a Julie Garland phase in the 30s? Who knows? What's next for Toni Storm? Did she book herself into a corner? How do you get better than your best ever? Especially where she came from in WWE. And actually, she's made it fucking work.
Mm-hmm.
So so it's a coin flip. If you were to say Mercedes this year because of the belts, sure. If you ask me tomorrow, I could easily make a case for Toni Storm today, especially based on blood and guts.
I think that says a lot for Toni Storm for just being your champion half the year and not having to do the whole belt collector gimmick. But I want to come after that. Let me get in there real quick because one person I was definitely surprised. There's a couple of things. Number one, nobody from WWE is in the top 3. That's definitely interesting first. But beyond that, and Michael Cole has definitely been one that's been very vocal about this in calling his matches. And I would even say Wade Barrett as well too. But Io Sky has had a crazy year. But then when you expand it to what the sort of rating period is for the list, you have to go back and remember, first of all, Grand Slam champion, not only a Grand Slam champion in WWE, but then becomes like the first Grand Slam champion to be that, and of oh my God, I can't think of the other promotion, but Stardom. So you become now a Japanese wrestler, both a Grand Slam, both in Stardom and in WWE, big there. Won Money in the Bank, had an amazing feud with Rhea Ripley, also throwing Naomi in there as well too, because that's what kind of cashed in on it, which was great because you had this feud with Rhea Ripley and Io Sky, where it was like, can Rhea finally beat her? And then when we thought she had her, she won the championship on the biggest night of WrestleMania and surprised everybody. Which, by the way, Damian, what was your match of the night of WrestleMania this year?
The women's triple threat, without question.
So just to throw that out there too. And then also she was Money in the Bank. So like just all of this down the line here. She couldn't be stopped. And it's really hard for me to see Tiffany Stratton and Stephanie higher on the ranks here for that. I know Stephanie won, and I know she went undefeated. And I guess we're going to count the crown jewel win here, maybe.
Sure.
Yeah, sure, right?
Yeah.
But I am a little underwhelmed with EO being that low. I would say, to my ignorance here of number 3, I would say EO would have been in the top 3, but damn sure above the 2 other ladies from WWE. So I don't know, but hell of a year from her for somebody who clearly people had counted out multiple times here.
Of course.
You put her against Rhea, everybody's going with Rhea and putting all of their money on that one. And she beat her twice, essentially. Definitely one firm time, but the Naomi one was a little whatever. And then that was Evolution too at that. So, which was also considered match of the night, which also topped off for a moment of the night of Naomi winning the championship.
So let me just say this, because we know that humans made this list, we can look at the top 10 and see implicit bias in the list. Yes, maybe it was a consensus. Seriously, I mean, yeah, like no joke. Maybe it was a consensus. Yeah. Maybe it was. I don't know how many people are on the voting panel. I don't know if it's like the Academy Awards where people just watch specific things all year. They don't even have to watch all the movies, and they just vote.
I was going to say questionable about watching everything.
Fair enough, because again, that's where the bias is coming in. Because you have Mercedes and Timeless, Tony Storm, the 2 of the biggest feuds of the year, or 2 of the biggest arcs of the year. Tiffy Time, for some reason, Stephanie Vicaire, who was hot shit in WWE, and rightfully so, but she came in like out of a cannon. Io had the year of her life in America, and then you have Athena, who's forever champion in Ring of Honor, respected. Sari, cool. Naomi had a hell of a run with the TNA thing, and then and people love themselves some Rhea Ripley. If you don't see the bias there, I don't know what to tell you, or you are a WWE fan. I mean, like, just flat out. So with that said, personally, as a person that just enjoys wrestling, I enjoy a technical style of wrestling. I'm not going to say that these are the best 10 wrestlers in the world. No, wouldn't definitely say that. But if you include all the things that they hold dear, wins and losses, kayfabe, movesets of variety, and match quality and their opponents, sure, maybe this is your top 10. But then again, it also doesn't lead to other people from other companies, specifically Tokyo Joshi Pro, because I'm not seeing a lot of those ladies in the top 20, and they absolutely should. More representation should be there. Where the hell are they? Yes, Mizuki's at 19. Damn it, I'd be damned if she's not higher. Starlight Kid, 14. Okay, cool. But I'm just saying that, like, it's you can kind of see where they lean in, because there's nobody in the top 10 where you go, other than Tiffany Stratton, where you just go like, wow, how's she there? But there's nobody in the top 10 that goes, I've never heard of her. Where has she been all year? Why haven't I heard of her? Now, as you go further down the list, the names get a little bit more obscure, as they probably should, because you're 200th on the list. But I refuse to believe, out of all the women's wrestlers that they have access to, that these are your top 10 based on their those
metrics.
Well, based on those metrics.
Let me because I looked at the list when it first came out and didn't dive too deep into it, because I figured
if that is the case, and I'm not even arguing that that's not what they did. They printed the list for a reason. But even if that is the case, then they definitely don't have a Wrestle Universe account.
So where's somebody from TNA? Because TNA champion didn't make the top 10, and TNA has been thriving very well, and the collaboration has been thriving, benefited both divisions. Who's our top TNA talent here? Who do you see?
I don't know if I would put.
Who do we have on the list? Who's on the list for?
Do we put an asterisk of Kalani Jordan since she's their champion?
Sure. I don't know if it falls in the period, but somebody should be in there. Ash by Elegance.
Well, okay, but that's kind of the thing, though, because it's TNA. Because
but who is our top?
But no, I'm saying like real quick, they're saying that they're one of the metrics is match quality and opponents.
Yeah,
I'm not really seeing that in TNA.
Yeah, I mean it's happening.
That's going to your rating.
It's happening in NXT, which is my next. Who's the next who on this list? Can y'all just take a look and see where? Because I don't have the full list in front of me right now, unless I need to pull it up. But who's the first TNA person we see? Who's the first NXT person we see? And who's somebody who benefited from sort of maybe that from the collaboration? Like we need to. I'm curious.
Yeah, Kalani Jordan, obviously, definitely.
Like I'm going down this list, and if my first thing is Kalani to put for TNA, then what the hell?
I mean, she don't get twisted. She had a great year, regardless, because
no, like being the first TNA person, unless I'm missing it, I'm literally going up and down this list. I don't see a TNA superstar, full-time TNA superstar on this list.
JC Jane, that's NXT right there.
Yeah.
Okay. Lyra, I like that. I mean, inaugural Intercontinental, and you can't look the other way without her having a great match. Where is
right? This is wow.
Right. So yeah.
Where is oh my god, what's her name before she got injured? With Judgment Day.
Liv Morgan.
Thank you.
That's her on the list. She was in top 20. Yeah, she's 12. Number 12. Right above Nia Jax.
Right above Nia Jax. Good for Nia.
Good for Nia.
Big Nia fan here.
Wait a minute. That's okay. I think that they call it Rubenesque Nia fan. Can't call it
curvaceous.
Yes.
Yeah, you're looking down this list, man. I don't see TNA really represented it here. So Ruka, good for you. But I don't see. Yeah, where is? Crap.
I mean, I don't see two. Let me start from the bottom.
Let me see. Let me. I'm
literally going down
on the show right now.
Yeah. I don't see
Indy Hartwell at 91.
Tessa
at 92.
Yeah. I mean, like,
wow.
That's well, but that's also a thing too. So that's where the implicit bias, for lack of a better word, kind of comes in. Are these people watching TNA every single week? Maybe not.
Even if you're not, though, I mean, NXT is still so right. I'm sorry, really quickly. I'm just going down the list to look at who the last champions were. Ooh, that's why I think. But this still it's still not fair. So when's the period again? It's October to October.
Yeah, October to September.
Yes, October to the end of September. So October 1st to basically October 1st.
Okay, so Masha Slamovich was the champion for majority of the time for 267 days. JC Jane for 35, Ash by Elegance for 33, and then it was vacant because of she's stepping away, and then Kalani has been there for 43 days. So if you look at it, Masha should be on the list at some point. Now, is that what happened? Did they take the allegations against her right now and say we need to remove her from the list? Now, I'm not here to pick any sides of anything, but I just have a simple question and we're going to move on to the next topic. Has anybody else's personal life ever come into play with them being removed off the PWI list to your distant memory?
No. Not to my recollection.
Have been removed from the list. Not in the recent times. I can't think of anybody recently.
Yeah, has anybody been disqualified per se? And granted, they never had stated that one's personal life is a factor of it, because I will always argue, much like we used to talk about before, if you are going to bring personal life into things, then cultural impact absolutely needs to be a factor in that too. So people who are doing things outside of just wrestling should be in kind. If you were in a movie, you were in a top movie, you know, where did you do a show? Did you, you know, something charitable? Do you have a great podcast? Stephanie McMahon should be on this list.
Well, I mean, come on now.
She created women's wrestling. Like,
right.
Yeah. Also, Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? Like, she at the wrestling? Guess not. But nah, I just mean like, yeah, you know, that's where that gap is with NXT right there. Is Masha, and there's no, it's not apparent.
Well, but then again, I mean, to be fair, if Tessa's on the list,
true,
and Masha's not,
that's a good point.
Now, granted, we're not associating Tessa with TNA this year, but it's still kind of like,
yeah, she's TNA.
Sure, but from last October to this October,
yeah, she's been there. She just hasn't been able to walk through the forbidden door. So
well, you're damn right,
you know. But
if, you know, but so if that's the case, it's kind of like, well,
yeah,
I don't know, but yeah. So either way,
yeah. There's a list.
it is a list. I do think that it's time to evolve the list overall, and I think that's what we come with. Because if somebody says, like, I'm looking at the bottom of the list, and honestly, the bottom 20 is more interesting than the top 10, because I just don't know these people, you know. Yeah. Or I may see a name that I haven't seen in a while, like Eva Lise is at 222. I didn't know she was still working.
There's no way.
Dead serious.
No, he's right.
Number what?
222.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, good on her. I just haven't seen her. He's kind of just fallen into the abyss. Tyra Valkyrie is at 238. Where? Like, where? She has, and so that makes me want to look it up, because now I'm like, where's the Tyra Valkyrie match? Maka Ito is at 241. Damn, how far down she's fallen. Because she was amongst the best imports from Japan for a while, and now she's barely on the list.
Well, okay, really quickly before let's wrap, because I want to move to it. I just quickly look. Obviously, we're gonna look for the hometown folks here. I just looked up Jordan Blade. Jordan Blade is not on this list. Now, the reason I looked up Jordan Blade is I'm wondering. Now, this is another interesting thing. You talk about the discrepancies in the list. Are people who why am I drawing a blank? If you wrestle what do you call it? Wrestle I cannot get my thoughts together.
Literally,
women who wrestle men and men who wrestle women.
Intergender
wrestling. Thank you. Excuse me. Does that make you ineligible for the women's list? Because
not if you're a woman,
right? Because women appeared on the men's list if they intergender wrestle, which are the likes of Alley Cat.
Okay. Well, to be fair,
hold on. Let me finish.
Is that the men's list or is that the wrestlers list?
Oh, let me finish. No, it is the 500 is definitely the 500 men's list for 100%. As labeled as that, and that's how it is. But women who intergender wrestling made on this, like Alley Cat, Masha Slamovich, and Jordan Blade. Masha's not here, questionable. Is Alley Cat on this list? I didn't even think to look at that. Is interesting. Alley Cat is not on this list. So are they taking the women who were on that list and make them ineligible for this list? And if that's the case, that's just completely trash.
Yeah, that would be trash. But
so anyway, we'll stick it there because we're gonna skip the break. We're gonna go to the next topic. If you're listening to us, you're watching us, y'all let us know in the comments what y'all thoughts about the women's 250 list, and definitely that last point. Somebody get me straight, because if that's the case, that's completely trash. If the whole goal of wrestling is supposed to be inclusive, especially by the merit of intergender wrestling and wrestling is just wrestling, then why would you make a women's list, remove women from their list that they're eligible for, but then put them in the men's list and basically just, you know, for the sake of inclusion, you're like, we add you there for inclusion, but then exclude you from the list you're clearly eligible for?
Let me just say this. The name of the list is the PWI 500. It does not denote any other thing than it being the 500 wrestlers that they picked for the list. I understand why somebody would call it the men's list. especially when we have a literal women's list that just come out. But it would be no different than if they made a tag team list or other delineation therein. But to be fair, it's the PWI 500, not the PWI 500 men or women that fight like men. Just saying.
Cool. So, right. So cool. I get it. Inclusive list for the deemed men list. So you make a exclusive list for the women.
So
for the ones
that's right.
Yeah.
Just make it the 500 or 1,000 best wrestlers on the planet. Combine all the genders.
Yeah, because in this case, you exclude half the women that just go out there and that just wrestle. And I think that is what it is, because all the TNA intergender, there's anybody who works for GCW intergenders.
Well, let me ask you this. So let's say we get a combined list. The PWI 750 of just wrestlers, irrespective of gender. Mm-hmm. Does a woman ever top that list?
Yes. Yeah.
This year. Specifically this year.
I would say this year, probably. But I think that's kind of why they may wanted to have come up with a women's list specifically to give the rub to women in their own thing, in their own space.
That's fine. Just because you wrestle men shouldn't exclude you from your list.
Right.
And then on top of that, you talk about predetermined wins and losses, but also matches are booked for matches that, because the promotion says we're putting the best wrestler versus the best wrestler, but that makes you now ineligible for a list you could be looking forward to. So what now? You duck a match because you don't want to end up not making the list?
Well, if anybody's not taking a booking because of PWI, they should be just, like, come on. Like, what are we talking about?
But in respect, though, Brandon is Brandon. You get put on an ID match. You're like, hey, I'm taking that because I can also put it on there. That was an ID match. You get on these lists, you can say, I was this on this list. I mean, as private contractors, they know it's self-branding and marketing, and whatever they can use to do so will help them and to make them ineligible because they just went out there and wrestled, which is just trash. Essence trash. I bet you. Listen, let one wrestler with a good enough platform, like the likes of Jordan Grace, let her get up and say something about how that's trash. I guarantee this won't be a problem next year. I guarantee a tweet will come out and they'll be like, we're going to talk about this internally and discuss it going forward. So yeah, put a pin on it because we need to talk about blood and guts here. I think the solution is either the 750, like you said, and everybody's on it, and it's just the free for all. Or if you're going to have women that have their own list for the sake of inclusion, then you can't exclude a woman just because they went out there and worked. Man, if wrestling is just wrestling's for everybody, and all the other merits that everybody says about it, you can't have a list that's divisive against it. Right. That's literally what it is. Period. Anyway, right. Blood and Guts. Just their special show of Dynamite this week. I watched tidbits of it. Damien seemed to have caught up on it. Jamal, where are you at with AEW nowadays?
I'm aware of it. I mean, like, to be honest with you, there's too much other stuff going on. Just travel in general. Baseball season just ended. Fuck the Dodgers. But I'm aware of AEW, and to be fair, they are absolutely going through a renaissance of sorts. They're having their best year in a few years. I do wish that they would go back to 4 or 5 pay-per-views instead of 8 or 9 that they do. I do wish that some of these special shows were actual pay-per-view events to look forward to every year instead of just a special show. But Collision on a Saturday night is something that I'll never really watch. And there's just too much stuff out there. There's too many movies. There's too much wrestling. Yeah. There's too much sports. And all of it's being pipelined into the house. So it's just another thing. Like I saw a movie tonight. And just because I just got to fit things in when I fit them in. So
big same. Yeah. So obviously the biggest thing, and I think the most important thing to come out of for Blood and Guts, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Ed, but it's the first ever women's Blood and Guts match. Which was a team of Tony Storm's team.
Mm-hmm. Team heel versus Team Face.
Because it always is.
Yeah, because booking. But yeah, the first ever women's Blood and Guts match, where you had the triangle of Matt and his Julie Hart, Sky Blue, and
Tekla.
Tekla, and then you had Megan Bain and Maria Shafir, who, by the way, for all the little bit of wrestling I have been watching in that direction, Maria Shafir has really found her way. Am I wrong by making that statement?
No, you're right. No, you're not wrong, because that was brought up earlier in the show that she's probably
I
one
said
of the
that
most
she's the most improved worker on television.
Exactly.
Yeah. You credit
number 68 on the list this year. Wait to see, bookmark that for next year.
Fair enough. You credit Mox at all?
Yeah,
she's giving him credit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look at you know it's the holidays. If you got Jamal say something nice about Mox, it's crazy.
No, I mean, like, yeah, he's a shit
Goodwill
wrestler
towards men,
but you know, he did and is continuing to inspire Marina Shafir. It makes sense for her to be in that stable.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, the stable, you know, got stale when they were just doing the thing with the belt forever, and it just didn't work. Now that the belt's gone, half their problems went away. They're more entertaining to watch, and we don't really care if they win or lose. They're just there to wreck shit and leave. Okay, fine. They're in a blood and guts match. That's what they're there for. They're there to appease that section of the audience, and I don't mind it because I know what I'm going to get with Moxley. And unfortunately, they tried to make Moxley not Roman Reigns, but they try to make him this archetype that he doesn't fit in. He's not a superhero. He's not the hero that you need to be. He's not Cody Rhodes. Yeah. And that's the problem. And then now that he's not Cody Rhodes, he's just, you know, I don't even think he's a heel, to be honest with you, but he's now that he is where he is, that's the perfect spot for him. And he's doing his best work in AEW. Yeah. It's not what I prefer, but it is his best work.
Right.
Going back to the match, though. So the other team, Jamie Hayter, Toni Storm, Queen Amanita, Harley Cameron, Willow.
Amanita was hurt, and she was replaced by somebody else, and I can't remember.
And then Chris Statlander. First and foremost, the only match I watched. First of all, is there anything else to discuss from this card? And if so, have at it, Damien.
No, I was just going to talk about the women's match as well. I did not like the ending. It bothered me. I know we've seen the please don't protect the person, and it just left a bad taste in my mouth because as I'm watching this match, I'm impressed by the fact that they are getting physical and blood is coming out from Sky Blue. Kudos to her.
Yeah, she was at Cody Rhodes level of blood bleeding last night.
She was.
Somebody's got to do it.
Of course. But just seeing them all just leave it all out there. And then we get to the end of Marina kicking Mina with the tacks on her feet, which I thought were great. That's a good spot. But then to keep her in like a reverse choke and hit her with a belt repeatedly, only for Tony to say, I quit. That was kind of lame, at least in my opinion. That left a bad taste in my mouth.
I thought that was a different way to end it. And I thought that it was an unexpected ending because they kept prefacing it is surrender or submission. And they never really explained what surrender meant until it ended. Like, oh, shit. Oh, she surrendered. That's what that looks like. So it was a bit of an unexpected ending. Not particularly like a false finish because you can't have one with a match without pinfalls. But yeah, I thought they gave you everything that I could have wanted in the match. Statlander taking a bump on a bed of nails was fucking badass. Also taking that DDT on the belt itself the hard way was badass. And hell of a match. Kudos to everybody involved. They managed to protect Monet because you got to protect the moneymaker. And
literally,
Harley Cameron also.
I would also say Toni Storm too, also coming in late.
Sure. But of course that sets up the ending. But Harley Cameron it continues to impress, considering that she's only been wrestling for 20 minutes. But giving so much and finally finding her way. Willow is a fucking star, but we knew that already. Statlander, she's far removed from her original gimmick, but she's definitely going somewhere with it. And Marina Shafir is the most improved worker on television right now. So absolutely appropriate women's match. They absolutely knocked it out of the park. Even Penelope Ford, who was injured, busted elbow, and Amanada has neck issues, were able to be there because they should have been in the match. Couldn't have been better. And if they hating, then you're doing something right.
Yeah. Damien, anything else? Oh, go ahead, Jamal.
No, but then of course there's the rest of the show. Surprised that it got that bloody before 9:00.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Damien.
My biggest thing, if we're going to talk about the men's, Kyle O'Reilly getting the submission would not have been on my 2025 bingo card, considering how, if we even go back last year, he might not have been a major player in AEW, but seeing him get the victory in and of itself, kudos to Kyle. That man does not quit at all. He just keeps moving forward no matter what gimmick you give him, no matter how little you give him. Kudos to him. I do want to go back really quick to the women really fast. I hope this shows people watching at home that Mina Shirakawa is not just, the 99 create a character entrance moves, but legitimately tough. Because I know a lot of people when she came in thought, she's all right. But all the women did prove that, but Mina specifically, because I feel like she gets a bad rap from the IWC because she's just Mina. And I'm glad she was able to at least show she can do more than just be flashy and do all the entrances and things of that nature. So the women just stole the show. I'm surprised it went first, to be quite honest, but good nonetheless.
Yeah. I can't wait for them for next year to see what they do with that. And honestly, because of the nature of the gimmick and the gimmick itself supersedes television presentation, make it a pay-per-view. I mean, like
it should have been.
It should have been. I mean, it's interesting what you don't want people to pay for, and then what you do.
Don't ask. Listen, you ask for something that's very concise. Just that the time restrictions are involved. Your moment you ask for that, you're going to end up having a men's, a women, and 10 other matches. That's a 2-day pay-per-view you're signing up for.
You got 2 Money in the Bank ladder matches. Why not get 2 blood and guts matches on the same?
Yeah, but WWE would give you 2 gimmick matches and 2 other matches in between, and then you're out. You're not booking for the end of time. You know what I mean? Then once they start getting better with their time, then I would be all for moving certain gimmick special Dynamite shows.
I don't have a problem with it being a gimmick Dynamite show. I just think that this specific gimmick is warranted of its own event as a pay-per-view, because honestly, yes, this was the entirety of your show. The 2 blood and guts matches and a hardcore match in between with a segment with Ricky Steamboat and Flair that was supposed to be out there.
Yeah. Okay,
well, that's 2.5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
There's still the other half of the roster that didn't work and that's going to be a collision. Because you have tag team action, you have other women doing stuff. There's more other storylines that are going on. So yeah, this could have been a 5-hour long event, and I know that's only half of an AEW pay per view, but still, I think the event is bigger than television. That's all I'm saying. And I'm not even saying about every special show. Like Winter is Coming or whatever the hell. No, keep the Snow Machine on TBS. But this thing is worthy of being a pay per view.
All right.
Compared to Revolution, I mean, like, what is Revolution? What is Full Gear?
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
So,
give
me a gimmick, damn it.
All right. Let's get ready to crescendo down for this week's episode. I know we spent a lot on that 250, but it is what it is. First and foremost, John Cena becoming now a Grand Slam champion. I know we say we'll talk about that, but due to the sake of time, we won't. But I think we're going to have a lot more to talk about next week because
we are 1 month away.
John Cena's last Monday Night Raw is next week in the Garden. And we do have 2 big matches that's also going to be in terms of his qualifying tournament for The Last Time Is Now. Whoever's going to have the right to see John Cena for his final match here in Washington, D.C. for a Saturday night main event. But because it is his last Monday Night Raw on Netflix, It's a pretty big deal. So big of a deal. I am going to the Garden to go see that.
Nice.
So we're going to see what comes of that. So, stick to the socials. Whatever I see or find out or know, I will definitely post, because I don't plan on just going and just sitting in the seat for the same day you're going to see on TV. So we'll see what happens with that. But other than that, I think that's it for the wrestling talk. I'll give my fellow movie critics 30 seconds to run down anything to see, TV or film recommendation to go. And I do mean 30 seconds, right? All right, Damien, you go.
I'll suggest Bat Fam on Prime Video. I was surprised that it was way better than Merry Little Batman that I covered here on the channel. It's a surprising bit of whimsy, enjoyable, and the side characters are definitely people to keep track of throughout the entire 10-episode first season. So Bat Fam, go check it out.
True that. Jamal?
Movies that I'm going to be seeing this weekend include Now You See Me, Now You Don't, because somebody greenlit that. The Running Man looks interesting. Bugonia, I saw tonight. That's probably a movie that you're never going to hear of, but will be Oscar bait. And The Carpenter's Son. 'Tis the season, y'all. You know who the carpenter is. You know who his son is. And Nicolas Cage plays the carpenter.
Oh, no.
What could possibly go wrong?
Oh,
So,
no.
Merry Christmas, y'all. The Carpenter's Son comes out in theaters this weekend.
Yeah, I seen The Running Man. I think if you are first of all, if you've seen the original, this isn't that. Nods to it. This is way more faithful to what Stephen King's novel was about. So yeah. But it was a lot of fun. A lot of satire in it. Definitely for the likes of like GTA and other things that just don't make sense. I'm telling you right now that this guy's book bag somehow, some way stays with him through thick and thin. And there's moments where you just see him tossing it, and the next thing you know, it's on his back again. He's like, how the hell that happened? But it's a good film. A lot of good acting. Glenn Powell as an action star. Yeah, but the star of the show is my man Coleman Domingo. He likes it up. So yeah, check out Running Man this weekend. But for that note, that's it. That's the end of the show. That is Finn. All things Big Gold Belt Media, BigGoldBelt.com, everything on social media at Big Gold Belt. New podcast episodes weekly, Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live on all video platforms. If you're interested in watching us live, join us. Be a part of the discussion. Get in the chat. We do read those. We like to interact with you all. So, hell, throw a wrinkle in our discussion and send us your way if you got something juicy. But nonetheless, you can catch the podcast on all audio podcast platforms the following day. Really quickly, when is the planned break for the year? Because it is holiday season. So we take a whole nice little break in January. January, right? Yep. So January is a whole break.
So January 1st is a Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And the first Thursday in February is the 5th.
Yeah. So just be prepared for that. And I'll just go off on a limb and say as the editor-in-chief of Big Gold Belt Media, expect changes to the podcast. I think we're going to come back a little bit different come 2026 in February. So stay tuned for all of that. But gentlemen, it's been fun talking with you all tonight for a quick hour of all things pro wrestling. And for everybody joining us, we appreciate you all. We'll catch y'all all back next week. Happy holidays. Do not have your damn Christmas tree up. I was only joking. Nobody needs that right now.
Everybody
wait after Thanksgiving.
My family has their up already.
Yeah, lunatics. Avoid them and blink for help if you are in the household with that. But nonetheless, we'll see y'all back next week for another episode of Big Gold Belt Wrestling Podcast.
All I really need